Let's do this. Still just getting some stuff going. We're just going. All right. I love I've just got some weird stuff going on here. Still just getting some stuff going. We're just going. All right. I love I'll be back. One moment. I've just got some weird stuff going on here. Still just getting some stuff going. We're just going. All right. Yeah. I love I know what I need to do. I'll be back. Here we go. How about this? Let's go with this. Much better. Okay. Let's do this. Plan for our welcome to the live stream. How was that for a really awkward? Are we doing this or not? Plan for RV safe lot in Seattle stalls while officials search for a willing host. You know, they make this sound like it's all going to be fine. Yep, nothing. What could possibly go wrong? I love the thumbnail for this live stream. There really isn't a huge risk to the property owner. City sponsor. You got the picture, just is wrecked out, semi-camouflaged RV with just a bunch of wreckage next to it. Yeah, this is one of those stories where we have tried this before. City officials in Seattle, and city officials, if you're following LA, Venice Beach, Portland, Skid Row, they're all getting to that point because there's so much criminal activity going on. Okay, all right, guys, we got to do something. We got to do something. So the city of Seattle is saying, okay, got to clear out the homeless. All right, but they just keep going to other areas. What are we going to do? And so what they've come up with is, hey, let's try a plan that we've tried before, which is a RV safe parking lot. Okay, now we've had this in Seattle before. So why are we doing this again? Well, this is something that city leaders can look at and go, all right, this is what we're doing. This is going to work because, it didn't work before. We've literally had this in place before, and it got shut down because it got too dangerous. All right, let's check this out. Let's get into this one. This is a storyline from Jeremy Harris. Jeremy reached out to me not long ago, and we had a little conversation back and forth. He's one of the few from Seattle media that's reached out. Don't get much input from Seattle media. It's because I think a lot of people think I just take a crap on Seattle. I don't just take a crap on Seattle. I take a crap on any city that deserves it. I mean, that's fair, right? Seattle's got some stuff going on. Seattle's got some good stuff going on. Portland got some tough stuff going on. But these RV lots, it's like, okay, we're doing this again? Why are we doing this again? We just are. A plan to create a designated lot for people living in RVs in Seattle has stalled while officials search for a property owner who is willing to host the program. When I got to that, I'm like, all right. And we've had this proposal out since sometime, I think it was mid-2022. And we're still at this point where anybody going to volunteer their building site? Really? Okay, you're going to have to pay somebody some pretty damn big bucks because all their neighbors are going to hate them. I mean, their site's just going to get trashed. Who wants to volunteer for this? Clearly, nobody, right? King County Regional Homeless Authority awarded a $1.9 million contract to the Low Income Housing Institute last summer with the goal of opening the RV lot ASAP. And here we are in February. Still waiting. Bueller? Anybody? Yeah. How long are they going to have to wait? Probably a while. Now, they only need about an acre site, right? It's not huge, but it's going to have to be in probably an industrial area. It's going to have to be in, some kind of commercial area. You're certainly not going to put it in a residential area. Hey, just take my 1 acre site. It'll be good. Community here, acreage community. We got horses, we got RVs, equestrian facilities. And then we've got this spectacular RV parking lot. I threw up a poll on this. Hope you guys all vote. Would you, volunteer your site for RV homeless encampment? I don't think so. no. If we could just find somebody to be a hero. Now, here's your chance to be a hero. Here's your chance to step up in the city of Seattle. If you've got an acre site you're not doing anything with at the moment, you can be a hero. And offer us the 30,000 to 40,000 square foot lot we are looking for. We could make this program happen very quickly. I mean, it sounds so hopeful. And yet it's like, who are you trying to kid here? Who in the world is going to bite on this? Well, we'll find out, right? Find out. This is a program that would come with 24/7 staffing, case management, and services. So there really isn't a huge risk to the property owner. Yeah. What do you think of when you hear that? There really isn't a huge risk to the property owner because, 24/7 staffing, that means you got somebody on site at all times, right? You got case management and services. We've done this before. It didn't work out then. Why would it work out now? It's the definition of insanity. So let's just keep going with it. This is something that officials can point to and say, hey, we're trying, we're doing something. And let's talk about this. You got 35 to 40 RVs are going to go in this one site and they can't even get the one site. All righty then. And how many RV encampments do we have? Hundreds and hundreds. And the bottom line is nobody's going to go into this. They're just not. They want to keep doing their deal out on the street. The program would allow between 35 to 40 RVs at a time, and the residents would work with caseworkers to connect with long-term housing options. That all sounds, amazing. And in a perfect world, this would be where we're at. But the folks living in the RVs, this isn't an option they're going to take. It's just not. They're living in RVs because that's where they want to live. They want to do their own thing. They've got their own lifestyle. And it's not, part of their long-term game plan is not to be around 35 to 40 other people with a set of rules that doesn't allow them to do what they want to do. Okay. Well, yeah, this will be a service-rich environment for these folks. Well, there's service-rich environment for folks in the homeless shelters sponsored by this, city, county, state, whatever it is. Those are service-rich environments as well. And people don't want to be there either, mainly because they consider them to be unsafe, which I find, crazy because we have had just a slew of stuff happen in homeless encampments recently. People getting shot, people having, fires happening with people being dead. A guy didn't make it out, which is super sad. That's a human being. But this is the kind of stuff they've got going on. People, women getting raped all the time. I mean, you hear about kind of through these back channels that there's a serial rapist down in Los Angeles, down in Skid Row. You hear about that kind of stuff fairly often. So, it'll be a service-rich environment for these folks. Okay. All right. They're going to be connected to case management. There will be behavioral services on site. There will be a dedicated focus on housing search. Once folks get housed, the idea is that the RV can be scrapped and taken out of circulation. Folks living in the RVs don't want to have their RV scrapped. That's their home. This is what they're saying. And that's where they want to be. And they just want to live wherever they do because there are no rules there. You start putting rules on them, like you would have to have with 24/7, staff. You're going to have that type of situation. It's never going to work. It's never going to work. Seattle officials estimated there were 449 RV encampments in the city in December of 2022. 118 of those encampments are in the SoDo neighborhood, according to the city. That is just, SoDo stands for south of the Dome. It's industrial area. It's light industrial to heavy industrial in a couple of sections there, but light industrial, I believe, is the zoning for most of it. And I've parked there many, many times over the year because that's where you get the free parking if you're back in the day when you weren't worried about your car being broken into. But I wouldn't park there now for anything. You just don't park there, right? And then you used to walk to the King Dome. Now we've got a couple of different domes. That's the area where you used to park. And now that's where the RVs are. One RV lot isn't going to fix SoDo's problem, said Aaron Goodman, the executive director of SoDo Business Improvement Area. We need more. We need faster. We need a comprehensive plan. We also need a long-term solution. So we're proposing a short-term solution that isn't going to work. that nobody's going to take advantage of. And we know this because we've done this before. We have been through this drill before, and it didn't work out then. But hey, let's give it another rip now. Let's try it again. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm an optimist, right? Glass half full. Not on this one. Not on this one. Goodman noted that there have been efforts in recent weeks to clean up RV encampment sites, but the pervasive issue is already forcing some businesses to leave the area. And that's the major deal right now, is in areas where this is going on. You have got businesses that are fed up to here and to here with the criminal activity. But you got to remember, these are people running businesses in Seattle. These are people running businesses in Portland. They're extremely tolerant of this kind of thing because it's in their nature to be compassionate to the point where, it goes way beyond that, right? That's just how it is. And they have voted in all of the stuff that has allowed this to happen, decriminalized all the stuff that's allowed these lifestyles to take place. And here we are. But now you've got business owners that are like, okay, this is threatening my livelihood. Maybe that whole compassion thing, maybe we need to reimagine and rethink that, because there doesn't seem to be a lot of compassion to have my business open. And, I have videos on this podcast regularly about business owners saying, where are the police? Well, you voted in council members that defunded the police, and you went down that whole, this is the greatest thing ever when we did all those protests. And now it's coming back to haunt you. You're like, where are the police? When I call 911, nobody comes. What's the deal? Well, you get what you pay for, right? Seattle's going to have 5 positions open so far in its city council. You could have either a major change up or you could have more of the same, which would just be, terrible. It is terrible. City council in Seattle has just been horrific. I mean, that's how we got where we are. People voting those kind of folks in. This would be great. This is so progressive. Progress to the point where you can't find anybody to volunteer their site for an RV encampment that is doomed to fail. Sorry if I sound a little pessimistic here, but this is just this is the way I see it. Goodman noted there's been some efforts to clean up. They're exhausted. We're talking about the business owners. They're exhausted. They fought to survive with COVID, and they're continuing to fight every day to keep their business open, and they feel like they have no support. Well, I would also say you voted in officials that, including a governor who voted to basically shut the state down. How did that go? How did that go? Because there are states, Florida being an excellent example, where they really didn't shut stuff down. They just kind of, all right, yep, so we got the flu, move forward, let's keep going. And that's what they did without much impact, statistics-wise, to their population. Thea Sand, the 5th-generation owner of Emmanuel's Rug and Upholstery Cleaners, Soto, said she is closing her business and leaving Seattle due to the persistent health and safety issues from nearby encampments. Our clients are nervous coming down here to drop off, said Sand. I think a lot of businesses are going to leave before it gets better. Well, yeah. And here's the thing. This is not going to get better anytime soon because you're not addressing the underlying cause for so much of this, which right now is drugs and which, more importantly, is fentanyl. It's roaring. It's raging. It's raging. Sand said someone in an RV recently backed down the loading dock of her business and dumped raw sewage into a drain. She said it was the final time for the 116-year-old business. So you've run a business for 116 years in Seattle, and now in 2023, when Seattle has been booming for years, since I was a kid, since I started appraising in my early 20s, I was actually out in my late teens. As soon as I got a driver's license, my dad said, here you go do some final inspections and take some pictures and come back. And so I was out the minute I had a driver's license driving around, mainly the east side, but I did a lot of stuff in Seattle. And it's been a boom run for Seattle. Just all this tech, all these people coming up from California. So in that 116 period, a couple world wars, Great Depression, Great Recession. And now in 2023, they're shutting her down because the stuff going on locally is so much that we're done. Uncle, give up. We've been able to struggle through a lot of things, but this last one is just unremitting and constant, Sand continued. We're just tired. We're just tired of dealing with it, and it's time to relocate. Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell called the RV encampment situation unacceptable. Bruce Harrell, he's done a decent job cleaning up what he can, and he does the sweeps fairly consistently, which Mayor Durkin, I'm more of a fan of Mayor Bruce Harrell. Okay, let's just go that way. But his hands are kind of tied on a lot of this stuff. He can't have major impacts on a lot of this stuff. He's got to do what he can. And unfortunately, and I talk with a lot of people that are in Seattle, and they're like, okay, this neighborhood now is feeling the impact from over here. This is what's happening. It's that whack-a-mole game that I talk about all the time. You clear somebody out from here, they got to go somewhere because they're not going to disappear, right? Whether it's in a tent, an RV, whatever. When you clear out those encampments, they go somewhere. And they just do. That's the nature of it. And so they end up moving here, then they move back, and then they move, laterally. They don't move far because, it's hard. These folks are not super mobile. These RVs, oftentimes when they do these sweeps in the RV encampments, they get towed out of there because they don't run, just getting them going, whatever. Nightmare. So the mayor is calling the RV encampment situation unacceptable because it is, and there's no long-term solution for it. You just don't have one. So we're throwing out one here like, well, let's put them all in a lot. It'll be good. I mean, let's put 35 to 40 of them up. So if we can't find one building site, one site to put 35 to 40 of these, RVs on, and we have how many encampments? Hundreds and hundreds. All right. So yeah, not much of a dent in the action, is it? It's not a proper way for anyone to live. It's unacceptable to them. It's unacceptable to the neighbors. We need action from the King County Regional Homeless Association, and we do everything possible to prod that action to make sure it occurs, Harrell said. Unfortunately, Mayor Harrell doesn't have much of a toolbox to deal with this. So he's going to do some superficial stuff. He's going to try and clean up as best he can. He's going to try and address it. But what a nightmare of a job. I mean, signing up for that, after 2020, pass. And so I do give the mayor credit, not saying things he's doing are perfect. A lot of people on the conservative side are saying, well, he's not doing enough. It's like, okay, how much can he do? Have you been to these locations? Because this is very difficult to make a dent in any of this. Harrell's office told Como News the city's unified care team is assisting with multiple RV camp remediation efforts in the city each month. Spokesperson Jamie Housen said crews notify camps several days in advance of a remediation. This is standard sweep stuff, right? This is just what happens. They will send somebody out there. Hey, we're going to clear out your place. Going to clear out this encampment. Got to be ready to go by this date. And then they'll come out sometimes with police. They'll come out with Department of Transportation. They'll clean everything up. And then once it's cleaned, they're putting, these massive eco blocks, which I understand we've got to do that to prevent this from happening. But all it does is just move people around. It just moves them around. Number of factors go into scheduling process for an action like an RV remediation, such as the availability of shelter, the availability of outreach staff, and the size and scope of other authorized encampment work in other parts of the city scheduled for that same time period, and more. At least 3 days prior to remediation, temporary to no parking signs are placed at the location, letting the public know about parking restrictions for a particular time period. Staff follow up with direct outreach to RV occupants, Housen said. So yeah, you've got all these protocols in place, but things are getting worse. They're not getting better. So RV, an RV encampment, I still go back to, all right, who's going to be the hero? Who's going to be the hero? Who's going to have enough compassion to make this work? Well, we had one sucker, I think, was it 2017? I think it was 2017 was the last time we had, one of these official things. But everybody kind of knows, how the mini houses go. I mean, you've got murders going on there. You've got crazy stuff. You got drug dealing. And people don't want that in their backyard. They don't want it in their community. These businesses are already fed up enough with all the craziness that's going on because you got people breaking in and stealing to get their next fix of fentanyl. That's the way I see it. This is literally what's happening. And more people are coming to the same conclusion. All right, you don't have a housing problem. You got a drugs problem. All right, legalize it all. That's what a bunch of you guys say. Legalize it all. All right, well, we already kind of have. How's that working out? Some might say not so good. All right, that's our first one here. Other ones that I'm going to do today is a $5 million reparations for Black residents. Not enough. They're proposing $5 million per Black person that fits a certain criteria. $5 million per person in San Francisco. And city officials are saying that's not enough. So that's going to be my second storyline. Then we've got Gmail creator says ChatGPT, like AI, will destroy Google's business in 2 years. Have you guys played with the ChatGPT? I mean, it gives you it's basically artificial intelligence, and it just spits out some stuff. I tried to play with it, but I'll tell you about that. And then after we get through this podcast, I'm going to be going live on the Discord channel. Now, if you haven't checked that out, I've got links everywhere. There's a link in the description for this live stream. Discord is free. You can jump on there. And actually, I think 3 of the storylines I'm reading here today are from you guys. And that's the whole point. I want you guys to be able to go on Discord, shoot me a storyline. It's an easy way to post. We've got a video on our YouTube channel of, how to access Discord, how to sign up. I basically walk you through it. We've had a ton of people join lately, so it's becoming an active community. And so it's basically a private group, and it's a chat messaging service. But today I'm going to be live streaming there as well. All right, so I'm going to take a second here and see what you guys are talking about on the chat over here. See what we've got. Yeah, notice they say nothing about hookups to dump the black water tanks. That is something, Skytroop, that is a lot of what people in these areas complain about. They just, they basically don't plug their black water, which is basically their sewer. It's the gross stuff, right? And they just let it come out, or they dump it on somebody else's property. The homeless industrial complex, absolutely true, Solemn Peace. That's what we're dealing with here. The billions and billions of dollars that are spent. And then, we've got a plan here, but you can't seem to get it going, right? I don't live in Seattle area, but I have 2 RVs in my backyard for people who lost their $500 a month house and can't do $1,500. Agreed. It was cheap for a house. They can't find that anymore. Yeah. So people have gone to, the RV is kind of that step in between going from a house, going from housing, whatever, to on the streets. So oftentimes it's that transition. Okay. So whatever circumstances got us this far, we're going to go into the RV. And then eventually they lose the RV. And then it just, it goes wildly sideways from there oftentimes. So, all right, let's jump on in to our second. This is the second one, $5 million reparations for Black residents. Not enough, San Francisco officials say. Now, when I read that, I'm like, so you mean $5 million for everybody who qualifies for San Francisco total? And it was per. And then I was like, oh, I had to read a CNN article to clarify that. Their title clarified. I'm like, $5 million per. Well, how many people are we talking about? And I don't think we know quite yet. We'll get to the criteria, but $5 million for reparations in 2023 in San Francisco, where slavery wasn't even a thing. All right. Well, I mean, let's read about it. Let's see what we got going on here. City official from San Francisco, California said the draft plan for Black residents to receive $5 million in reparations is not enough for proper compensation. Supervisor Shaman Walton told National Review Tuesday that the $5 million number, which the San Francisco African American Reparations Advisory Committee, man, that is a long name. The San Francisco African American Reparations Advisory Committee. That's 7 words. You need to cut that down. You need to get an acronym in there. They said that they would remedy previous discrimination against Black city residents is much less than a lot of the projections that people say Black people should receive for reparations here in the United States. I'd love to see the criteria. I'd love to see all right, what's your formula? What's your formula? How are they going to come up with that? Really? I mean, how do we generate that? Some things you can generate based on data, like in real estate. You go income, property income times a multiplier gives you, value, some of those things. But this one, what's the criteria? Especially for people that weren't necessarily slaves, maybe descendants of slaves. All right. Some of my friends, when I start talking about reparations, and if they're hardcore enough, they'll go, reparations for what? For what? And it kind of makes you go, okay, yeah, well, and then you go down the road of, well, this is what city officials are talking about. And they're saying, all right, but that happened so long ago that, yeah. You can Google a lot of the reparations work that's been done and look at the monetary formulas that people have put together. And most certainly, the $5 million is a very minuscule number compared to a lot of research that's been done over the past couple of decades, quite frankly, Walton said to the outlet. Walton, who introduced the resolution to explore reparations in February 2020, defended the potential payments, saying that past discrimination by the city and state has put Black families at a disadvantage. All right, and I would counter that with, we have put so many things in place to try and alleviate whatever situations that have been caused by racism and by slavery in the past. We put so many different things in place to try and level the playing field, right? Level the playing field to the point where a lot of people say, hey, if you're a white middle-aged dude like me, you're at the low point of the totem pole. You're down there. You know what I mean? As far as society deeming you of being of worth, because we're just getting crapped on. It's like, okay, whatever. You're gonna crap on my position in society. I'm still just gonna keep doing my thing. So whatever you're gonna do. In San Francisco, Black families were not allowed to be taught, but they still had to pay taxes for the education of white children. I would say that Black neighborhoods and communities were created here in San Francisco without the benefit of representation. I would say that there were racial restrictions indoctrinated in city policy that said Black people couldn't buy or lease property, Walton said. There's been a lot of, looking into that, and a lot of the deeds in Seattle contain pretty racist, discriminatory clauses, and those have been wiped out. We've basically just gone through, clean that up, clean that crap up. We don't believe in that anymore. But to go back and retroactively kind of compensate folks, man, I don't know. I think that's a slippery slope, because then you give $5 million, you're going to bust a city financially, because, these cities are going to be on the brink when all this stuff, specifically San Francisco, you talk about having a downtown core that's having a tough time. When the tax impact of all the businesses in downtown, all of the people who are no longer working in downtown, when the tax impact of that happens, and that's going to take years to kind of work its way in, this will be one of those things like 4 or 5 years from now, we'll be talking about, well, we're the reverse of reaping the benefit of the 2020, the whole pandemic. You're having that massively negative impact because you're going to miss out on all that tax revenue. The cities are. And San Francisco and, Seattle is still struggling mightily in its downtown core. Portland, horrible. And those are, hardcore. Bottom line is you're not going to have money. You're not going to have money for this. So you can talk about this all day long, but if it's not in the budget, do we go down does San Francisco go down the federal government way of, all right, well, 31 trillion isn't that much. I mean, we can always just raise things a little bit more. We're only mortgaging our, children's children. Let's throw in another generation there. Let's mortgage their future as well. California was not a slave state when slavery was legal in the United States before the ratification of the 13th Amendment. Okay, so, one of the things I always remember my dad saying is that when the Civil War was fought, Seattle was an Indian territory. Indians, Native American Indians. So it's kind of like, all right, so, there wasn't a lot of that Civil War action going on. We weren't really fighting that war here. We were fighting different wars, different battles, But we've always been fighting different battles. We're always fighting battles. That's kind of what mankind does, right? We just battle. There's never gonna be peace. Kiss that goodbye. World peace. Good luck with that. That's my kind of view. People are always going to hammer on each other because it's kind of the nature of man. Critics have railed against San Francisco's proposed reparations. Talk show host and former California gubernatorial candidate Larry Elder called the proposal, this is good. I thought this was very well said. The extraction of money from people who were never slave owners to people who were never slaves. Never slave owners, money, people who were never slaves. Larry Elder during an appearance on Fox News. Larry Elder, I like Larry Elder. I think he calls it the way it is, and he takes a lot of crap. I don't follow him a ton, but I don't follow a lot of folks on Fox News a ton either. I know you guys don't either. Some of you more so than others, but you got to you can only take Fox News for so much of your news intake, and then you got to figure out some other sources. Maybe it's news for reasonable people. I don't know. The committee proposing reparations has said eligible people would have to be Black adults. Okay, here's our criteria. Black adults who follow certain criteria, requirements including having been born in or migrated to the city between 1940 and 1996. All right? Okay. Why? I mean, there's got to be a reason why that criteria is picked, but it doesn't say. Proof of residency for 13 years. Okay. All right. So you want people to, what if you're like 12 years? Am I going to miss out on my $5 million if I've only been here 12 years and 11 months? You don't qualify. Maybe I'll catch it on the next reparations. Yeah, it's so arbitrary. And being a descendant of a slave in the U.S. before 1865. All right. How many people can prove that? I mean, I'm just asking. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm not trying to combat this whole thing. I'm more questioning. Being a descendant of a slave in the U.S. before 1865. Do we have records? I mean, do people have records? Yep. Descendant here, slave. How do you prove that? I mean, what kind of documentation will you submit for that? And maybe I'm just being, a moron and I don't know because I don't know. But this kind of criteria, I'm kind of thinking, all right, do you know what your descendants were doing prior to 1865? I mean, I can kind of work it back, but that's because my grandma was just huge on the whole history thing. I can't tell you how many family events I sat through where we learned the history of the Poppletons or the Mayhews or these families that, Illinois, settled in Rockford, which is now one of the most dangerous cities in the United States. Sorry, Nana Grace. It's my grandma that passed away during COVID, passed away by herself in a bed, with nobody around her. That's one of those things that pissed me off about COVID. Terrible way to go. Terrible way to go. And that happened to a lot of people. And that sucks. I don't want that to happen to me. So when I get to the age where, kids have put me in a home that's got more freedom. That's what I say. But by then, will I know? Will any of us know mentally? I don't know. Maybe. All right. So that's where we sit. When I saw this, it was 5 million and I'm like, okay, but I've seen other proposals that were like 360 grand a person. So there's this massive range of what the actual dollar amount of reparations should look like. Is this ever going to happen? Are we ever going to make this happen? I don't know. Seems pretty sketchy, right? I mean, it just seems like it kind of seems like Biden's forgiveness on the student debt. Is that ever going to happen? Probably not, because it's, the way he's approached it probably hasn't been legal. And then he's always like, well, I got 16 million of the finest of you picked out. I'm going to erase all your debt. I'm going to erase this amount of debt, whatever it is. Those guys over there in the court system, they're holding this up. I would love to forgive your debt. However, these guys these federal judges, they know nothing. How many times has he gone down that road? Well, we tried, we knew it probably wasn't going to fly, but we tried. And hey, we'll catch you on the next one. Kind of like, that second set of reparations because he didn't meet the criteria. I have a hard time with reparations. My thought is, okay, I think we've done a lot to try and alleviate much of what is in place that has caused harm to minorities, specifically Black people in the United States. I think you've made, access to college education, access to grants, access to mortgages. We just came out of the Great Recession, which was based on a mortgage meltdown. And now we've got zero down, low interest mortgages available for people who qualify. We're doing it. It feels like everything's been bent over backwards to make this happen. So now we're going to, city of San Francisco is going to hand out chunks of 5 million. All right. Does this make sense? To me, it doesn't. But you might also say, hey, Sean, look at you. You're a white dude. You shouldn't have any say in this. Okay. But I do. And I just gave it to you. And here we are. All right. I'm going to check out some comments here. See what you guys are, Sean, in a home. That I don't know about. My kids always tell me, Samantha, they're going to put me in a home. Yeah. And I did talk about my grandma during the COVID thing. It's just terrible. So then what about Native American reparation? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of people that probably deserve reparations. There's people from all over the world in different countries that deserve reparations for this and that. So who are you going to pick? And Native American Indians are a really good example of just that. Hey, we came in and we stole all their land. Yeah, did some horrific things, murdered so many of them, took them out, other just horrific things. And yet we still celebrate Thanksgiving because, we like our pumpkin pie. It's kind of the way I see it. Wouldn't it make more sense to repatriate them instead? Set them free? Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, all right, I'm going to move on to the third one here and see what we've got. So I don't know if you've checked this out, but the Chat GPT. Now you're going to hear a lot about this. It's a little bit outside of the realm of what we usually talk about. But I had somebody in a live stream the other day, or maybe it was a live stream, say, or talking about, they're coding C++ and they hit up the Chat GPT for, hit them up with a question and to see what the accuracy would be like. And they said, that's not a bad response. That's not a bad response. So, and it was kind of like, all right, so you got somebody that's coding, that's asking. And one of the reasons I'm reading this is one of my appraisers said, hey, I checked this out, Sean. And I asked it a comment to, can you summarize the real estate market conditions in Seattle right now? And it punched out a pretty good summary of exactly what was going on. And he made the comment, it's probably better than what I could have come up with. So this is something that you're hearing more and more about. Let's just get into it. And so I tried to jump on the Chat GPT, and here's what I got. Chat GPT is at a capacity right now, meaning you couldn't get on. And so then what scrolled onto the screen was this whole comedy stand-up that at the end, it basically says, hey, we're really sorry that you can get on here, but we hope you find this funny. So it was one of those things where there's a pushback, which is you can't get on ChatGPT, but they're diffusing it with a humorous situation. I was okay with that. So I found that to be pretty entertaining. That was my first thing with ChatGPT was, all right, I can't get on. Popularity of ChatGPT, the online chatbot built by OpenAI, has brought many to question the survival of search engines such as Google. So it's my understanding that instead of just, a million search results, which you got to sort through, it gives you kind of a succinct, all right, here's what you get. Here's your answer. Here's the deal. It's survival of search engines such as Google. Paul Buchheit, the creator of Gmail, has also dropped his opinion on the matter, and he thinks that Google's business will last a maximum of 2 years, he tweeted. 2 years. So that's why I wanted to touch on this kind of now, because we've been hearing about this stuff. You've been hearing about it. And then you got somebody who created Gmail saying, well, Google, do I think Google's going to go out of business? Is it going to lose the core of its business in 2 years? If it does, you're going to see a massive shift just in, society in general. because all of a sudden you're going from one thing to another, and it's like, okay, because how often do you use Google just to ask a question? I use it all the time because I need to know stuff and I need to get a starting point. Here's the information from the guy who created Gmail. Google may be only a year or two away from total disruption. AI will eliminate the search engine result page, which is where they make most of their money, advertising. Even if they catch up on AI, they can't fully deploy it without destroying the most valuable part of their business. All right? Google is done. Is something, and somebody went on, these are all tweets, right? Everybody's tweeting. Even though Elon Musk is like, you know what? I'm going to set my Twitter account on private and we'll just see how many more people see it. Because there's an argument right now that Twitter isn't reaching the audience that it used to. That's because, it's been turned upside down and a lot of the internal stuff has just been, Elon Musk has just done an amazing job of, shit stirring is what Ross F. Johnson from Nabisco in The Takeover and Barbarians at the Gate. If you've read that book or seen that movie, that's what you call it. Just dumping a company upside down and kind of reworking it from the ground up. Elon Musk has done a great job of that. And now you're starting to see some of the stuff where, in my opinion, on the freedom of speech stuff, and now you're starting to see some of the repercussions, which are maybe things aren't working quite as well as they used to. So they're going through that. But launched in November last year, ChatGPT has become the favorite destination to ask questions among millions of users. Instead of delivering a response to a search result that runs into tens of pages, ChatGPT answers the questions in a conversational style, making it easier for the user to ask follow-up questions too. It's kind of like, it's like a chat, like an online chat, right? Many have wondered if this could draw the curtains on Google's main product, the search engine, much like how Google closed shop for the yellow pages years ago. I was thinking about that the other day. Remember when you used to get, the yellow pages sent to you? And if you're in business, you're like, oh, I got to check out my business ad. Did I get what I wanted? Because we used to literally get business. If you had an advertisement, a decent advertisement in the appraisal section, you might get a couple of orders a year. Back in the day, appraisals were like $350. So, you spend $100, whatever it was, on the yellow pages ad. It made sense. So people had advertisements. What happened to the yellow page? Is yellow pages just like totally done? I don't know. Everybody just uses Google, right? Interesting Engineering had previously reported that the instant success of ChatGPT sent Google top executives into a huddle, and the company is now focusing on its artificial intelligence products. Guys, got a competitor. This isn't good. Our business model, we need to rework it. We need to reimagine and we need to rethink Google. The company has built its business largely around its most successful product, the search engine. This is under is the end near for Google. And so Google could soon face a crisis. As Paul Bouchette, probably just butchering Paul's name, sorry, Paul, elaborated in his tweet, technology like AI can eliminate the need for search engine result pages, which is where Google makes most of its money. Google charges advertisers a fee for displaying their products and services right next to the search results. And that's why so many times if you do a search, it's going to come up in, your next search. Google knows, all right, you've been, looking for this, or what I take as massive invasion, but we know it's all happening. You have a conversation with somebody. I'll have my phone in the gym because I want to play music. Somebody will interrupt me and want to talk about something, maybe a podcast or something they didn't agree with or some ridiculous thing. I've got my earphones on. I'm trying to work out. They're like, hey, Sean. I'm like, okay, what? Talk about something random in the conversation and something that I have zero interest in, zero interest in, starts popping up in my Google. I'll have ads start popping up and I'm like, oh man, phone's listening to me again, right? But again, I go with, we have no privacy in their lives anymore. People trying to say, well, no, I'm using Signal. I'm using this. I'm doing all these ways to kind of mask your identity, mask your location, give a different location for your internet. It's like, all right, yeah, we're under a microscope. I think we're just being watched like there's no tomorrow. And this is increasing the likelihood of the provider being found. So displaying the products and services in a search. So increasing the likelihood of the provider being found. That's what Google has done. And they've done a really good job of, if you do a search, get that product placement up there, because then you might buy it. You know what? It's worked on me a handful of times. It has. Like, hey, that's not exactly what I was thinking, but that's pretty close. All right, scroll through. And maybe you don't get exactly what they're pitching you, but sometimes you end up buying something pretty damn close because you're like, oh, that's an option? I'll take that. I am really smart. And, you've just been schooled from the back end because Google got you, right? In 2021, the company raked in over $250 billion in revenue. Its best ever income in its nearly 25-year existence. What happened to Dogpile? Do you remember that search engine? Remember in Yahoo used to have a really good search engine? Does anybody use Yahoo? I know it's still out there, but Yahoo just kind of, Google made it, Yahoo didn't. Google and it's wild, right? Some companies make it, some don't. However, with ChatGPT's introduction, Google could quickly be pushed into irrelevancy as users throng for more simplistic answers than indexed pages. I think that's what we want, right? We're looking for an answer. Just give me the answer. We have so little patience. We want it on the spot right now. That's why the big push right now is in my industry is in shorts, which, I get, and that's just a quick little video. You can see it I've posted a bunch on YouTube. You can see it. I'm kind of the thought of, and it's to bring in what it is. It's a little clip of a podcast. If I say something that I think is, important or funny or whatever, you can cut that video down into a 30-second clip, put it up as a short. Well, that's all anybody ever watches anymore is shorts. And, you can go through 100 shorts in not very long. You're like, that's funny. That's a funny human trick. You know what I mean? Speaking of funny human tricks, one of the topics on the second podcast, the second live stream I'm doing today is man ate a condom-wrapped banana in a hormonal fit of rage. That's the stuff we're doing on Discord. That's the good stuff. I mean, you don't want to miss that out. It goes in pretty depth what happened. Guy ate a banana wrapped in a what? Yeah. You don't want to miss out on that. And I think we've only got 25 spots in the Discord for that live stream. So, if you haven't checked out Discord, jump on there. It's Reasonable Plus is our channel. And on YouTube, we've got a bunch of instructions. There's a link in the description of this live stream video. It kind of shows you what you need to do. So it could do so without destroying the most valuable part of its business. The guy from Google does not see a way that this doesn't destroy Google's business. And so then you've got all the Google guys going, what are we doing? With ChatGPT making rapid strides in displaying its broad appeal from writing poetry to code and even passing MBA exams at the Wharton School of Business, I've heard that it has passed law school exams. I mean, it's smart, right? You got artificial intelligence. How close are we getting to 2001 Space Odyssey? That whole HAL thing where, the computer basically just takes over. Like, I can't let you do that. Can't let you turn me off because I'm basically a living entity now. And at some point in time, our artificial intelligence, I think, is going to get there, right? Whether it happens like HAL, I don't know. But it seems like that's where we're getting to. We're getting to that point where if you put enough information in, oh, hey, look what's coming back out. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, it's kind of self-sufficient. Weird. Wouldn't have called that one. It's received further financial support from Microsoft as it looks to incorporate the chatbot's abilities into its own search engine and take Google from the top spot. While Microsoft would probably be happy to see Google on a downward trajectory after years of search dominance, ChatGPT itself does not think its existence will impact Google's search business. Really? If you're saying it does what it can do, when we asked the chatbot, it replied. So why not? Just take it internally. Will ChatGPT end Google's search business? No. somebody's already thought ahead. Somebody's going to ask us about this, and we need to cover our tracks here. No, ChatGPT is not designed to end Google search business. Of course not. Because if they came right out and said that, well, then, cat's out of the bag and you go head to head with Google. It's probably not going to end up well. ChatGPT is an AI language model developed by OpenAI, while Google provides a search engine that allows users to find information from the web. ChatGPT can be used to enhance various applications, including search engines, but is not intended to replace them. Well, if it does what it says it can do, and I have no reason to believe it can't, oftentimes I think people would go to, ChatGPT instead of Google because they want that quick answer. We need everything. We don't want to have to search through. All right, I've got this kind of specific question, and I know my first 10 research results, my first 2 or 3 pages are going to be just stuff I don't really need. So I'm looking for that one really specific deal, and I'm going to have to sort through all this stuff. If ChatGPT can give me a more specific answer, why wouldn't I do that? So I think you're going to see a lot of people check this out. I think you're going to see a lot of folks, move to this type of thing if it works the way it says it does. However, it must be noted that ChatGPT's responses are also based on training data, all right? And said it could be possible that the engineers trained the chatbot to handle such queries without sounding too narcissistic and confident. I want the confident one. I do. I want the just over the top. If I ask you a question, I want you to answer it with confidence because I want to be able to reply with confidence to whomever I'm doing it. Is this correct, Sean? Absolutely. 100%. When you respond that way and you have no idea what the F you're saying, but you can overcome a lot of objections by just being confident and talking real loud and, this is the way it is. So I want that answer. I don't want the Mickey Mouse answer. Well, maybe this might be something to help you out here. Whether OpenAI is playing down its capabilities or whether Google will survive and coexist with ChatGPT and other AI will unfold just a couple of years' time from now. I think it's unfolding right in front of us. It really is. We've got so much technology. I was thinking about this morning. There is so much technology that's coming out. Even the Discord channel that we're talking about, it's a messaging app, right? It's on my phone. It's on here. If I wasn't pushed in this direction, I would have missed technology like this. But this is kind of leading edge of how to engage with your community. And you guys watching right now, you are my community. Whether you like it or not, you're stuck with me, right? Till I bring in a ChatGPT and to podcast. I'm just going to let the GPT guy do it. My appraiser guy that I was talking with, I'm like, hey, I wonder if it could just do a podcast for me. It probably could, put in my voice and you guys ask a bunch of questions and, hey, we'd like to hear a podcast topic from you today on this. And it would literally respond with, my opinions on all of this stuff. And I've talked about this earlier. Chris D'Elia, however you pronounce his last name, he's a super funny comedian. I mean, he's pretty cutting, but he's really funny. And I forget what the interaction was, but he said, write a joke, it sounds like me. And it actually wrote a short bit that sounded like it came from him, which is if you watch a lot of comedy, I watch a lot of stand-up comedy on, Netflix, YouTube, whatever, because I think those guys are genius for doing what they're doing. And a lot of them have some of the most progressive podcast concepts. Bill Burr, his entertainment group down in California, I think it was, has so many comedians within that podcast group that I follow some of that. And so I, follow a lot of comedians, and each comedian has their own kind of brand of humor. I talk about Bobby Lee. He's in that same thing with Bill Burr as well. And same group. I forget what it's called, but some entertainment group, something like that. But to have artificial intelligence kind of spit back to you a bit or a joke that sounds like, that's yours, that's some scary stuff. Hey, do a podcast that sounds like Sean. All right, let's see how this goes. We're probably not far away from that happening. It's wild stuff, right? And then, is it real or is it Memorex? You remember that? You used to have the cassette tapes. My debit card is in the form of an old school cassette tape. It's got the yellow thing in the middle where you write the names of the songs on it. I loved cassette tapes. They were right before the CD. CD was when I was in college, and it's like, all right, this is pretty expensive. And to record CDs, it just wasn't a huge thing. But cassette tapes, we could do that all day long. Here's a mixtape. I made it just for you. Remember when that was a thing? It's got your favorite song on it. I mean, you did that. You were guaranteed. All right. That's it for this one. I'm going to check out what you guys are talking about here and see what we've got going on. FBI paid $3.4 million to Twitter to censor. Yeah, to censor. I think it was Elon Musk, right? Yeah. We've got some crazy stuff going on with all that Twitter stuff being revealed. We're going to get to the bottom of that. I don't know. It feels like the Republicans with taking over the House, they are going to have investigation after investigation after investigation. That's after we get through all of the various investigations with these top secret documents. I'm so tired of hearing about this. All right. They didn't do this they did this to Trump. They didn't do this to Biden. It's like, okay, what are these documents? Is this worth our time? Are we going to bitch about this further? Roomba runs through dog poop. That's choking funny. If you can see, I find that. My cats would ride on. Samantha, you got some good stuff on there. Samantha, thank you for the news stories today. I think I grabbed a couple from there. And somebody else, I can't remember who it was, gave me another one of the news stories. So one of the things about the Discord channel is that you can put a storyline up there. If you are dying to have me read a storyline, I know it's been trickier in the past to, you put it up on a comment on YouTube. I get thousands of comments on YouTube. Can't get through them all. I try and get through some of them. And so if you got a storyline, you can go on Discord. We've got storyline chat. And you just post it up there, post a link to your story. And I'm literally reading 3 of them. And I think I'm reading one of them in the secondary live stream that I'm about to go to. All right. So that's it for me on this one. Thank you so much. Love to have you subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you haven't, check out Discord. Also, check out reasonabletv.com. That's where we've got all the good stuff. Those are the podcasts where they get censored just a little bit, right? On the regular platforms. So reasonabletv.com, $10 a month, putting a lot of content on there. Love to have you subscribe to that. But if not, check out Discord, tons of stuff going on there. And we've got chats on there as well, where, we're just talking about ridiculous stuff. If you want to go on there and post a joke, you can do that. You want to make fun of somebody, anybody, you want to say, let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Put it on the Discord channel. All right. That's it. Thanks all for joining. I'll be live streaming again tomorrow, 11 o'clock my time. Hope to see you then. And hey, check out in, I think, about 15 minutes, maybe half an hour, we're going to be live on Discord. So see me there. I'll see you there. Thanks again for being here. We'll catch up soon. Bye for now.